Looking to improve your life, brush up on your personal growth techniques? You are in the right place. Welcome to Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap.
And welcome back to Life's Little Lessons. My name is Kevin Dunlap, and I have a wonderful guest that I have with you today. Her name is Jacqueline Pascual. Actually, she is Dr. Jacqueline Pascual. I had the pleasure of meeting her at a few different events, and I've actually even a client of hers as well. She is a naturopathic doctor. The name of her company is called the Wellness Trinity. And Jacqueline, welcome to our show today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's good seeing you again. And I just wanted to share with all of our listeners out there, because after meeting with you and actually being consulted by you, I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of the different things that not only what entrepreneurs need, but also the different things that they can learn from people like yourself. Jacqueline, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what is it that you do?
So I'm a naturopathic doctor. I have a practice here in Las Vegas and back in California where I started. I have one there. I also do consultations online, so anywhere around the world I can reach you. And I have I have a website where you can purchase different types of supplements that you need. And I have a blog and I'm starting a podcast thanks to you. Thank you for your help with that. And my goal is really to try to help people get to the root of their health challenges. So many people are running around. I hear this story every day that they are not getting answers and they don't have as much energy as they need. They are sick. They have, they're overweight. They have anxiety, depression, all these things and more. And it's really sad. My dad died of esophageal cancer, which spread to his lungs and bones and all throughout his body, and died at 38, leaving my family, my mom at 36 with 3 children. So I was only 9 years old when my father passed away. And I ever since then, it was kind of just this something inside of me I didn't even realize was stirring up, that I really just want to help people and not have to go through all that trauma. So a naturopathic doctor, what we're trying to do is figure out how to get people back to homeostasis. And we do this in a natural way. We use different types of herbs and anything natural, really. So I use enzymes, probiotics. I use lifestyle changes, the diet, and glandulars are another type of remedy I really like. And how our thoughts affect our mind, our spiritual health. We're a mind. The reason why this is the Wellness Trinity is because we are a mind, a body, and spirit. We have emotions. We have all these different things going on. And a lot of times, different types of practitioners or people in the medical field, we segregate different aspects of the person. And what I'm trying to do is figure out where is the root. And toxicity and deficiency could be a toxic thought. It could be just the wrong idea about what our life is like when really it's something else. And then, if we harbor this negativity and unforgiveness, it can cause unhealthy challenges in our body. So once I look at, I do different type of testing. I do live and dry blood cell analysis and a cytobiofrequency scan in people's first consultation, like what I did with you. Sometimes people need other types of testing, like food allergy testing or hair mineral testing, which I'll mention at some point, whether it's in the beginning or later on, depending on how I feel or what I feel like they really need to hone in on at the moment. And those 3 tests alone, the live and dry blood cell analysis and the cytobiofrequency scan, gives me so much information about the toxicity and deficiencies that people are dealing with. And you'd be surprised. I'm not sure if you started your program yet, but certain types of, once I start supplementing people with the right type of supplements, sometimes their energy just goes on like that, or all of a sudden they're sleeping. It could be as simple as just figuring out where people are off. On the other side of it, when we find the toxicities, those can take some time to detox, and that can also really dramatically affect someone's health and vitality in life, and really their long-term energy, and even sleeping. People are sleeping, and even depression, anxiety, and any kind of mood challenges. All those things can have a physical element that if we attack I don't even like saying the word attack. If we really see what the types of toxicity and deficiency that they're dealing with and rebalance them, that all of a sudden they might be happy. So that's kind of all of that I do in a nutshell. And the basic idea, again, is I do the consultations, I figure out where the missing part is, the deficiencies and toxicity, and then give them a program to balance them back to health.
Okay, because I know a lot of stuff in your mind can manifest into your physical, and but you're also saying the physical can also help adjust the mind as well. Is that what you're?
Yes. I always tell people in my consultations, sometimes we don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg type of thing. Like, did you have a negative thought and then now your liver is stressed, or whatever part of your body is manifesting in? Or did you expose yourself to toxins in some other way and now your liver's all clogged up and you're angry? I'm just using the liver as an example. It's just one organ that can get thrown off, but the liver holds anger, for example. So if you are angry, the liver can get messed up. But if your liver is messed up because you eat a poor diet and you're exposed to all kinds of toxins, then you can become angry. So it's, and then the other thing with that situation too, if our neurotransmitters in our brain are not balanced, then we can find that on the note of anger, if we have low serotonin, which is built by tryptophan, then we can be angry or we can be not happy.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this for, or how many? Because I know you say you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, so pretty much ever since I got out of high school, I want to say about 12 years ago, I have been into something with health and fitness. I started off with personal training and then one certification in class, and then we have this whole internet, YouTube university is what I like to call it, of information, just reading books and educating myself. And now I'm doing what I'm doing now. But I really feel like my education started back then. And just from learning about how the body functions and how movement affects our body, how exercise affects our health, and then learning more about, I was health coaching at some point, putting together programs, just working on a lot with the diet. I got certified at a place called Hippocrates Health Institute, and they're healing people all kinds of incurable diseases, and with very extreme, I like to call it a Hippocrates style diet. Other people might call it a raw vegan diet, but it's a whole nother step beyond just eating raw and vegan. And then I ended up doing my naturopathic doctorate, and then that's what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing this now, along with other certifications to get more specific on using my testing techniques.
And I know offline, though, we've talked about this before, but I'd like to share this with the audience. What is the difference between, say, a naturopathic doctor and a homeopathic doctor?
Yeah, that's always something I find myself explaining to most people. So I think it's funny that you ask. A lot of people, when I say I'm a naturopathic doctor, they're like, "What, a homeopathic doctor?" And I tell them, "No, I'm a naturopathic doctor." Now, homeopathy or homeopathic remedies, I should say, are just one type of natural remedy that a naturopathic doctor can use. A naturopathic doctor is kind of an umbrella of anything, they use anything natural. So you can have a naturopathic doctor that uses homeopathic remedies. I personally don't know enough about them. I know a few of them, like arnica and chamomilla and what those things do. But aside from that, I'm not the most educated in that respect, so I don't really, and to me it's a little bit weird. It kind of reminds me of a vaccine. Now, if someone's skilled at homeopathy, that's great, but my passion and my skill is more in understanding how the herbs, the vitamins, minerals, the glandulars, let's see, did we say enzymes, probiotics, those things affect our body.
Okay. And because I know you suggested certain supplements and stuff like that for myself, and there's a whole slew of different ones that the people would use based upon whatever the results from your blood testing and the what would you call the one when you put your hand on the
Zyto biofrequency scan.
I have no idea how to spell that.
Zyto is just ZYTO. And, there's a lot of controversies online about biofrequency scans and the Zyto. And I think it's a lot just because people are not educated. Mm-hmm. And just so that we can clear the air on that one, People, so we're an electrical unit. Think about acupuncture, chiropractor. They're working with the electrical unit in our body. If, let's say, we have some type of pathway, I'm not the most knowledgeable about this, like a chiropractor or acupuncturist, but we have these different pathways in our body that energy flows in. And if something gets blocked, then that's probably where you can have a problem, or it can lead to a problem in somewhere else in our body. So the Zyto, what it is doing, you put your hand on this machine and it's sending frequencies in your body. It's kind of like a form of muscle testing for any of you guys out there that know what muscle testing is. It sends the frequencies into the body. It figures out where things are off and what organs are stressed, what's affecting your sleep, what's affecting your hydration, your detoxification pathway, and there's a bunch of other ones too, what type of toxins you're dealing with. And it adds a whole nother layer of information on top of what I see in the blood. And that's why at some point I didn't really leave it as an option. I just put it in my first consultation because it gives me a whole nother layer of information. And then once you figure out where those things are off, what I'm finding is, because I'll do the blood, I look through the blood first. I'll go through all this stuff. Like you have bacteria, you have candida, or for example. And then I'll do the Zyto scan and we'll see the same thing. So for me, it's another confirmation, but it's also, it gives me extra information that I don't see too.
Okay, so they complement each other as well.
Yes, yeah.
Or they complement, but they also confirm each other.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, because I know, because I had my hand on that device for about 20 or 25 minutes while you were doing the blood analysis.
It felt like that much probably, but it's only like 3 to 5 minutes.
Well, it felt longer. It felt longer. But I mean, it's because it tests everything. I mean, all the organs in the body.
Yeah, it looks at a lot of organs, and there might be other glands and things that are smaller, but it gives me a pretty comprehensive view. And in the live and the dry blood, you're seeing a lot of main organs like the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, but you're not seeing things like the pineal gland and the hypothalamus, the mammary glands, the uterus. Those, well, to a certain extent, it might show reproductive stress in the dry blood. But when I can see those more specific organs in the Zyto scan, it really does help me to kind of pinpoint what sort of hormones might be off and other things, challenges in the body.
And for those of you that are out there, when she's doing the blood analysis, she's only taking like 4 or 5 drops. I mean, she's not doing this big injection and giving vials. She's just bigger and puts a drop on a few different little slides that you can look at the microscope.
Yeah,
so she's doing these blood tests. This is not a whole lot of blood that she's doing. Just so for those of you that are maybe aware, be scared of needles and stuff like that. This is a very whatever you want to call it, non-invasive way of doing the testing. Yeah.
I've had maybe one person. It was a distant consultation, and they were just like, "I can't prick myself." And other than that, though, it's just a little thing, like a diabetic prick, and that's it. And it's just amazing the amount of information that you can get in just one drop of blood in the live blood, and then the dry blood, you're doing one drop, and then you're putting layers. So it's really, I guess you could say, 2 drops of blood for the whole thing. So the amount of testing that you would have to do in a lab to find out similar information could cost tons of money, to thousands of dollars sometimes, to figure out, I have a candida overgrowth, and I could just straight see it right in the blood.
Yeah, and those are usually putting a needle in your arm and filling up 2, 3, 4 vials as well.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what I think I forgot to say? We're putting this underneath the microscope, and we're looking at the cells and the dry blood right on the computer, or sometimes people will use a TV monitor hooked up to it, but you'll see your cells moving, or they should be moving at least.
And I would say that is absolutely true, because you were looking at it when she was doing my testing under the microscope without any monitors. I wasn't seeing what you were doing, and then after that, you came back and you showed me what was going on in a whole different. There was at least 3 different microscope settings that you were zooming in on.
Yeah, you'll see it far away and then you'll get closer up, and there's different things that you'll notice. Well, the first thing is when I'm looking at it far away, I'm looking for things like parasites and cholesterol crystals, which cholesterol crystals are a sign that fat is not digesting well and it could be clogging up in the arteries and maybe other types of organs. And then the parasites, I see those in almost everybody, and people have no idea that that's at the root of their health challenges. There's little bugs in everyone. But
I don't think anybody really wants to hear this, but that's just common. That's just a common nature, right?
Yeah. So, we're trying to help people with this podcast, with encouraging them in their businesses. And I know it's kind of silly to think about worms while we're thinking about business, but I mean, it can steal your energy. It can make you not think properly, and it can even steal your joy. So.
Well, because with a lot of entrepreneurs, and that's kind of where we're going with this, is that with a lot of entrepreneurs, you're under a lot lot of stress. I mean, you've got deadlines, you're trying to make that, or even when you're first getting started, you're just getting those first few clients. I mean, you're undergoing a lot of stress, and And then if your body's not performing properly, then that's just going to make things worse. You may not, I mean, if your body's performing well, then yeah, you be all gung-ho to go to that next networking meeting, or to call that next client, or to, whatever it is that you do, whatever kind of business that you're running. Yes,
you're absolutely right. And now that I'm out networking and I'm meeting a lot of entrepreneurs and working with a lot of entrepreneurs in their health, well, let me just start with my own personal experience. Building a business is not easy. And the more that we're healthier, the more that we can give, and the more that we can build a business, like you were just saying. And I burnt myself out. I will be the first to admit that when I was building my business, I was going to school, doing my doctorate, and I was working a job that was maybe, 10 hours a day, and commuting about 2 or 3 hours a week. The Bay Area is no joke. That's why I'm here in Las Vegas. I was like, bring me back here. It's a little bit easier to live here. That's our little secret, podcasters. So, but on that note, though, it was a reality check for me. One of the biggest things I work with now is stress, because I know my hair was falling out. I had gallstones. I had a worm that I passed, and this stuff stole my energy and brought me to a place where I really had to think about this. And now that I have been able to discover my own types of deficiencies and the toxins I was dealing with, the thousands of gallstones I had, now that I've been able to flush myself from it and rebalance certain things like tyrosine I was missing, I wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. I can go to sleep. And I'm like, okay, I can sleep. I'm rested. So many people, you'd be surprised, Kevin, that they can't sleep. I don't know if you know about that, but I get that. That was one of my that, and not being able to sleep and stress / anxiety are probably the biggest things that I deal with people.
Well, I know I do some, especially if I'm on the road, I do suffer from not being able to go to sleep all that easily at night. So that's to me like being in a strange bed, being in a strange environment. It's hard for me to get that needed rest, especially if I'm going to like a conference or giving a conference out of town. You need that energy in order to be able to function during the day. And so, I'd be like one of your mini clients. Yes.
Well, and the other thing too is people don't realize EMFs, which are electromagnetic frequencies, they come from the computers, they come from our phones, the cell phone towers. This is a huge source of toxicity for people that people don't even realize is affecting their sleep. Turn your phone on airplane mode at night and get away from that smart meter. There's different places in your house that you might be exposed to more than other places. And if you're sleeping next to these areas in your house that have more or less of those electromagnetic frequencies beaming at you while you're sleeping, you're going to have a hard time sleeping. And I was hearing about this for years now, and it's just only been recently because I had a temporary situation where I'm living in right now, where we're living by a cell phone tower and all these power lines, and we can feel it. And so it just, every time I see this, it's just making me study more and more, like how can we protect ourselves? So it just as simple as wearing some of these electromagnetic frequency. There's different necklaces you can wear. There's different things you can put in your house. We won't go into that too much, but I just want to encourage people that these are something that even if you just started protecting yourself and trying to get yourself as much away from that environment, lower EMF environments as much as possible, or putting yourself in lower EMF environments as much as possible, you'll be surprised how your brain function will go up. You'll be surprised how you could sleep better and how you're just even happier and just feeling better.
Okay, because I know, like, in my sleeping arrangement, I mean, I usually my cell phone is on the counter next to me, and I don't have it on airplane mode, but I do have it on do not disturb mode, which basically just means it's not going to ring if somebody were to call. That's all it means.
Yeah, so start turning it on airplane mode, Kevin. You're radiating your head.
Well, because there's clocks and there's lamps and there's all that right there as well. And
we have to think about all of this stuff.
And
so
in most bedrooms, where you put the bed is usually in between two different electrical outlets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it depends if you're plugging things in or turning things on. I don't really sleep with my phone in the room anymore, but when it's near me, I have it on airplane mode as much as possible. And I'm even starting to do it throughout the day. The more that you learn, the more that you realize how much it's affecting you, whether it's a cell phone or whether it's a food choice or some bad habit that you have. The more that you learn and you're aware of it, it's like, oh, like actually it's not even just about being aware, but when you actually take those actions, then you start to realize more so, like, I can't believe how much this is affecting me.
Well, and that's good to know, because I mean, as entrepreneurs, we already got enough on our stresses on
right,
our food, or our lack of nutritional supplements to also be taken away from our focus and energy and such.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how did you get into? Why did you get into naturopathic medicine? I know you're starting off as a personal trainer, but how did that go into that way, in that area?
Well, let's see. When I was training, I realized that I had a passion for nutrition, and then I studied nutrition, and then I guess somehow it led me into healing. I wanted to learn how to heal the body and help others heal their body, and that's kind of how that whole thing spiraled from one job and profession to the next, all in the holistic field. But yeah. It was always a calling on my life too. I mean, with seeing death at a young age with my father, I think in the back of my head, it wasn't really like, oh, that's why I'm doing this. But in the back of my head, it just made me want to live. And then as a result, it's like, I really want to help other people live the best life they can live and pursue their dreams. And we only get one life to live, and you never know when it's going to be cut short. So, when my dad's dying at 38 years old, leaving my mom widowed at 36, you never think, I'm 31 years old. That could be few more years of my life. And so people have no idea what they are doing to themselves. And if I can just change one person's life, that's what I realized. This is why I'm doing this.
Okay. Well, that's a good calling, and you're absolutely right. You never know when your time is going to come. A dear friend of mine, I think she's 35 now, and she's a single mom because her husband died when he was in his early 30s. So I don't remember how, but you just never know. Right.
Yeah. And we're nowadays, we're more than ever being just, I guess poisoned might be the word. There's so many toxins everywhere, and it's really throwing people's bodies off. And then what's happening is we're leaving future generations more ill. So you're seeing more kids with diabetes. You're seeing kids with cancer. I mean, this stuff didn't happen even maybe 100 years ago. This is more of our newer generation that is just popping up. And the worse that we make our genes, then the worse that our children's genes are going to be. I just did another talk on pregnancy in the last week. And, if our genes are toxic, we're passing those down. But there's something called epigenetics. We can turn the switch on and we can turn it off. If we have genes that are bad, if we're feeding ourselves the right way, if we're trying to eliminate stress as much as possible, and just in general, get all the toxins out as much as possible, and give ourselves the most nutrient-dense type of diet and in life that we can, then our kids are going to have a better future right out of the womb, even in the womb. So we have to nurture the baby while it's in there. If we're eating crappy food as a mother and our baby is being formed in the womb, then they're eating our food. So they can be born with different types of deficiencies and deformities, even their jaw being off if they don't have calcium and magnesium, and then they need to have braces. And that's just one example, but there's such a plethora of like a spiral effect that's happening. And we all need to take more precaution in general about the planet. We're just putting toxins and all this stuff into the environment, and it's affecting us as a whole. And, we're so busy trying to live our lives. And I mean, myself included, I have to think about this too, that sometimes we forget, like when we, instead of like throwing stuff in the trash to recycle, or instead of buying inorganic meat and food, to buy organic foods, because it's not putting as much chemicals in our food, which is not going to affect our own body, but it's not going to also affect the environment as well.
Okay. And when you're talking about, I'm going to go back a little bit about the womb, as you were saying, because you were talking mainly about what the woman is consuming that while she's in her pregnancy stage. And there's also a lot to be said as far as the men as well.
Oh, yes. I was thinking that in the back of my head as I was saying that, and it just didn't come out. But you're right. I have a few clients now that are having fertility issues or have maybe conceived and had miscarriages. And what I'm finding is when I'm finally working with a man, I'm realizing that their testosterone looks like it could be off, or their testicles or their prostate is probably off, which is a reflection of their hormones being off. And they're passing
that along to the woman through her.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're not getting the strongest sperm. Also, again, with the cell phones, when men don't carry purses, they put it right in their pocket next to their male organs, and it's radiating their sperm. So it lowers their sperm count. The other thing is heavy metals. I have another client that they're having a hard time conceiving. And when I did their test, the man, he's in the military, and years ago he was exposed to a bomb, and he has a lot of aluminum and mercury in his body as a result. So that's going to also affect people's conception.
Okay. So it's not always just the woman. It's definitely the
man. For sure. There's a lot of things with the man. And even in the environment, there's all these xenoestrogens, and they're like fake estrogens in the environment. People drinking out of plastic water bottles. I mean, you want to grow, you want to become more feminized men. You better stop drinking out of those plastic water bottles and eating soy too. That's not a good thing for men either.
Okay. And I know soy is used as a substitute in a lot of different foods and
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now let's talk. I guess we can switch over to your business. Now, as a naturopathic doctor, how long have you been practicing?
Let's see. It's been a few years. 2018. I would say specific, because again, it's kind of been like a transition. So I've been already doing this type of work, but it's just not since I got my doctorate. I guess you could say maybe about 2 years.
2 years. Okay. So you're still fairly new to that business, but how long have you been a personal trainer?
I started back in 2006, I think it was.
Okay. So you're going on your 12th year in that business. Now, let me ask you this: as a personal trainer, were you a personal trainer, as in you found your own clients, or did you work at a gym, or did you do both? Both practice both at the gym and away from?
So as a 19-year-old, I was very ambitious. And I was like, I'm just going to start my own business. And that's what I did. And I did that for a few years when I was personal training. Later on down the road, when I was trying to build this business, now the Wellness Trinity, I ended up just getting a job to, so that, what I found is that it's really hard to build another business while you're trying to focus on another one. Yes. So I was just like, let me just have a job where someone else takes care of that, and then I'll do, build my other vision while I'm doing that. So I did work at a gym.
Oh, okay. That's very, I'm glad you're being honest with me with that, because a lot of people out there that are listening may be thinking that they have to quit their jobs in order to build their business. But you're basically saying, no, you have your steady income while you're still in the growth phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then after that, so I've had several jobs in the natural health and wellness field or something along those lines. One of them, right after I personal trained, I was like, okay, I need to kind of pump it up in my income. So at least for now. So I ended up getting a job with a dentist, and she was a little bit more holistic in her practice. So that kind of was nice. Although there were certain things I still don't agree with, and it was a little bit hard for me to work with. But at the same time, it taught me a lot of skills. And what I wanted to mention about this job is that I started off with a decent amount for what the type of job I was doing. And then as I was building my business, I ended up lowering my hours a little bit by a little bit. And I always looked at my budget to make sure, like, okay, I have my basics needs met. And then at some point, as my business started growing, then I could lower a little bit more, and then I can raise up, my time and more of my business. And then to the point where I was like, okay, this is gone. And now I'm not doing that anymore.
And that's what I have advised on a few different episodes, is to do exactly that, is to, when your business income exceeds of what you're making in your previous job or in your job, then scale it down. And then eventually, like you just said, you could eventually just go ahead and just retire or quit or whatever it is that you call it.
Yeah. I think that was a smarter thing. With my ambition, there was a point where I did make some bad mistakes, and I did just jump in the water and just try to do a business, because I have an entrepreneurial heart. When you have the entrepreneurial heart, you just have to do it. And so I tried to do this business without having something really built up well, and the knowledge and the foundation, I guess you could say, wasn't the best, and my finances were not the best to support that either at the time. And so that got me in a bit of a mess. And I definitely encourage people to look at the whole picture and just see what you can do now. And just know that if you take one step and then you take the next step and you take the next, you're still headed down that path, and eventually the doors will open. But you don't have to necessarily throw all your ducks in one place before you have the other thing set up first. That was a thousands of dollars that I had to learn a lesson.
But you were persistent, and you eventually you pulled it off. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's like, don't give up, because like now for me it was really hard to keep a job, because one, I am an entrepreneur. When you're an entrepreneur, you're just different. You just think different. You work different. Your life is different. But at the same time, I had this vision, and I was like, I know that what my vision is, I can help people better than what I'm doing at this other job. Not to say those jobs are bad and those are great for certain people, but for me, I knew certain supplements were better. I knew a way I could deliver a service was better. And that alone is going to help people in the world to be able to, people need your gift. We all need each other. We all need the different gifts. And when you can just be able to thrive and be you're going to be able to help people in a better way, I believe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. That I fully 100% agree that everybody has something to give, and they can contribute to society and also make it a business around it. Yeah.
And it's great when you can make money off of doing what you love. I thrive on being able to hear the testimonies from my clients, like, oh my gosh, it feels so much better, and my more energy, I'm sleeping, I'm not so depressed. And, I mentioned those a few times, but those are the main complaints I hear. And there are other challenges. And you know what? It affects not only our business, but it affects our family life, it affects our church life, it affects everything, every part of our life is affected by our health, but our happiness also, the happier that we are ourselves, is going to affect everyone all around us too. Even our children. If we're happy, our children are going to have more hope for the future too.
Well, if you're coming from a happier perspective, then yeah, you'll do more business. You have a better demeanor, which does translate to your husband, your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, parents, and how you even relate with society. Mm-hmm. So I think what you do is probably one of the most important things that the people here should be listening to is, and focus on your health. And if they can see somebody like yourself, and then they can learn, like, okay, this is the areas that I'm, as you were using, toxic, and making those changes in the physical will also affect the mental.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And get all those little worms out of yourself.
Right. Yes. Get the worms out. You know what? Like I said, I've had my parasite attacks, and it is not fun. It's, you think you're crazy sometimes, because your thinking is off or your energy is off, and just what's wrong with me? And it could just be these little parasites are just taking up residence in your home and eating your food.
I don't think anybody likes to hear this. But
Sorry, it's one of the best topics of a discussion for me. Get the worms out. You'll feel much better.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about some of your early successes when you were getting started as a doctor.
Let me think. Gosh. Well, we've talked before about this, I think, and I believe every win is a success. From the littlest thing, the fact that you got up in this morning and that you went to your networking meeting and you met a couple people that are good leads, from actually following up with those leads, from actually, seeing your clients and being able to see success with them. Those are all successes. And in the beginning, I would just say for me, just the fact that I just kept going was probably one of the biggest ones, because at some point it was just, I looked in the mirror and I'm like, why am I doing this? And I remember just hearing that little voice. It's because you're going to be telling people how you did this. And, this is one example of that platform, but I'm really excited that I can share that I kept going, even if it was rough. It was really rough. I sold my car. I lived with my mom in my later 20s, and I love my mom, don't get me wrong. But, my whole family was there and some extended family, and it was just a house full of people. And, I was used to having my own space, and the environment wasn't the most healthiest for me. At the same time, there were as someone in the natural healing field, it was learning lessons in that way too. I had a lot of healing during that time. So, you're learning lessons in any situation that you get. And now I can use that and help people in situations similar too. So I can't say that was something lost. But at the same time, there was a lot. There was a lot that I went through to get to this point, and just keeping my eye on that vision was what kept me going. The vision was so strong that I had to just keep going.
Well, and I'm glad you're sharing that, because I was about to ask you, so what were some of your fears? What were some of your early fears when you were getting started, and how did you overcome those? Because you say you sold your car and you're living with your mom. I'm sure you had some major hurdles that you put there in front of you.
I think one of the biggest things is this ever going to work out? It's you and your vision, and some people might come along and think that's a beautiful vision you have, but no one's ever going to completely know what you're thinking and what God's giving you except for yourself. And so, the people that love you the most can even think you're crazy for trying to follow this thing that is not quite there. And I went to a school that is not, at some point, I didn't know if I could call myself a naturopathic doctor. And there's just all this stuff. I didn't know anyone that went to that school and actually had a successful business. So it wasn't just like becoming a medical doctor or going to be a lawyer where you see people that are professional in that field that are succeeding. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, really. Mm-hmm. And even in those fields, it's not easy. You have competition, and there's all these other type of hurdles you're dealing with too. So just having faith, is what I wrote a book called Reset Your Adrenals. I'm still working on doing a conference on that and finishing that up. But it was just about, because the adrenals hold fear, and it's really about replacing faith over fear, because that's the antidote of fear.
Would you be willing to share any of your early setbacks or even failures? How did you overcome those as well? Yeah, I
got myself in a lot of debt, as this part of the reason, part of the thing that I had to work through, and that I had to just persevere through. I'm like, okay, I'm getting myself in debt, and how am I going to pull myself out of this and then have a business after? And be able to not even just have a business, but be able to survive, really. So, at some point you want to thrive too. You don't want to even just be at survival mode. So one of my biggest things when I was in my 20s, and I'm a woman, and I wanted to be married. And that was a really hard thing for me to just kind of seeing all my friends getting married and having their children. And I'm following this vision, and I felt like I was behind. Now that I'm in my early 30s and I'm like, okay, I got my dream, and now I have my fiance and we're working on that now too. I'm happy that I can have it all. But it did take that sacrifice of just running after this vision that I had.
Yeah, because if you would have gotten married like your other, I'm going to assume your girlfriends, and then gotten pregnant and babies, then do you think that would have changed your whole course of your business? Because now you've got to be that responsible mom.
Yeah, and everybody's life is different, and it's great if they have children they're younger. That doesn't mean that they can't pursue their vision, but it just might take longer, and it might come later in their life. And this is just kind of the cards I was dealt, and I had to give birth to this thing. This was my baby. But yeah, even moms out there that are listening to this, I just don't give up. Just do what you can now. I have friends that are in the natural health and wellness field that they do what they can and when they can. And then they have a whole nother audience that they can target too. They can target people that are other mothers that are having a hard time trying to stay healthy or trying to help their kids be healthy. So I think that, whatever cards you're dealt, you can use the learning lessons in that time to be able to help other people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I call this show Life's Little Lessons, so that we can learn from other people's lessons and implement that into our own lives. That's the whole point of the show. So yes, learning those lessons from whatever comes your way. Now, as you're growing your business, what kind of challenges do you see ahead of you, and in growing your business, and how do you plan on getting past some of those challenges?
Well, speaking of podcasting, since we're on the podcast, I really want to be able to build more of an online presence, and I do have that moving already, but it's not what I see my bigger vision. And my challenge right now is I'm running physical practices here in Las Vegas and in California, where I travel once a month, which is quite the drive if you drive it. In the Bay Area, it's about 9 or 10 hours. But I'm happy to see my clients there, my friends and family and church and everything. But as I'm trying to manage having a busy practice still and tailoring to my clients, it's harder to think of building an online business too, because I got to get interviews. I have to edit my podcast. I have to put blogs up. And one thing I'm finding is that there's a point where you're a human being and you can only do so much. And if I want to have healthy adrenals, as I have mentioned that we need to have, there's a point where I have to be like, okay, I need to hire someone to do this. I need to have a graphic designer. I am not a graphic designer, although I do make my own flyers and I can have somewhat of an artistic side. It's not my favorite thing to do, and things like that. My fiance now, he's taken on a lot of the other marketing aspects of this business and is fixing our website. So sometimes you just need to bring other people on your team if you do want to grow.
Well, and that's the thing is because I'm going through the same thing as you are. I'm on other people's shows. I interview other people, and it's all to build my online presence, just like you are. However, at some point in time, and this is for everybody out there, you have to get to the point where, you're going to hit a maximum. If you're doing all of your own marketing and all of that stuff and doing all your own editing and rewriting your blog posts and all of that stuff, then you're not going to have any time to take on new clients. You're too much in the marketing phase where you're not able to actually take on those clients, which is the whole purpose of doing that is to eventually start building a team. Now, there could be virtual assistants, like using websites like Fiverr, or actually hiring a VA that will do, let's say, all your blog posts for you. Or somebody that does all your editing for you on your podcast. You just go to edit, you shoot the show, and launch it next week, and have somebody else do it all, so you can go and take on those new clients.
Yeah, it's always doing that cost benefit analysis type of thing, And, the one thing I had mentioned a little bit already is about just having faith. There's a point where it's like, okay, we're building the foundation and building the foundation. But then there's a part where you really just have to be like, okay, I've built enough of the foundation and now I need to take a leap of faith and just trust that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay to hire someone. Someone else can take this load off of me so that I can run in the lane that I'm called to run in, and I'm going to be happier. The business is going to be more successful, and it's just going to be better all around. I have an example of that myself, actually. So once I moved to Las Vegas, my fiance started taking on some of the marketing role, as I had mentioned, and my sales, I would say, at least probably doubled. Okay. Since we've moved, not only taken the leap and moved here, but also the fact that he's taken on some of the load off of my shoulders so I can go out and be the face of the business and meet new clients. And I'm the marketer, the face-to-face marketer, at least. He does the back end stuff. And then also just having a partner that can come in that has maybe some extra capital or even like room on a credit card that we can be able to get the things that we need to build the business too. So one big lesson I've learned during my process of being an entrepreneur is you got to be careful with who you partner with. Very careful. That's part of the reason I feel like I got in a lot of debt at some point too, is I joined up with someone that it wasn't, bless her heart, she was a great person, but we just were not on the same page, and I wasn't ready for it. She wasn't ready for it. Or maybe she was, but I wasn't ready for it. And it was just not meant to be. So you really want to think careful about it. But if it's someone that is good, then, it could totally bring your business to a whole nother level.
Well, yeah, because if you're going to be partnering with somebody, you got to be very, very clear that you both are going in the same direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes I think people partner up just because, for whatever the reason is, but they don't really think it through as to what it was the purpose of the partnership.
Yeah. Yeah. And having different strengths is great too. I mean, my fiance, the last thing he wants to do is go out and go to networking events. And, sometimes I'm tired too, and I don't necessarily always want to go, but I do love talking to people, meeting people. And I remember, this is why I'm doing this. But he's great at doing the back end stuff where, he's just behind the computer. And I think if I was just behind the computer all day, I probably would go a little crazy. So, certain people are just going to be better naturally at certain things than others. And the more that you can run in your lane, the better it is for everybody. So I'm learning this myself too, and looking at my cost benefit analysis, and I'm like, okay, when is it going to be time to have an assistant, and when do I make my own flyer versus have someone else make it, or as we were talking earlier about building the podcast, like when do I make my own editing versus hiring someone? So it's stuff to think about. It's some food for thought, and I think at some point for some people, they might feel totally comfortable with just doing everything, and that's great too. It's just, what is your end vision and what do you want to get to?
Yeah. I've got a friend. She was on an earlier show. Her name is Diane Forster, and when she was just first getting started, she hired an assistant. And she said, and this is back when we actually used to coach each other. When she hired her assistant, she couldn't afford her. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, by hiring the assistant, took so much of stuff off of her shoulders that she was able to go out and get a lot more business.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm like, the cost benefit analysis, but then also there's the leap of faith, because, well, you might think you might not be able to afford it, but now that you've taken the leap of faith, and now that you did it, you have more time to get the clients to afford that, and then maybe even more. So.
Yeah, and for those of you out there that don't know what cost-based analysis means, it means like say I was talking to Dr. Jacqueline earlier, a few of my episodes were edited by a person a virtual assistant that I ended up paying, I think, like $30 for, and that was about 5 hours worth of work. So if you look at it from the cost-based analysis, that means if you're doing the edits yourself, you're actually making $6 an hour, which is less than minimum wage. Now, is that really where you want to spend your time? Now, I also understand you may also be looking at, what can I afford? And it's like, so if you're just first starting out, maybe you don't have a big budget, but you do have to weigh that. Like, if you're doing $6 an hour labor, or even to say you're cleaning your own house, that you hire a maid to come in once a week or once a month to come in and do, and let's say she even does your laundry while she's over at the house. I'm just throwing that in there. How much more free time would you have to do other things to drum up new business? This is what Dr. Jacqueline was, I'm assuming he's talking about when we talk about cost-based analysis.
Yeah.
Can I hire somebody else to do this cheaper than what? Let's say your job, you're making $25 an hour. Why are you doing $6 an hour jobs?
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. And then just also looking at what's coming in, the income that's coming in already, what seems to be consistent, and that maybe now we can take this extra step up and hire someone for XYZ type of job that you're doing that is not really your favorite thing, and that you can pay someone, X amount of money that's not going to, where you can make maybe $100 an hour versus you're paying someone a $20 an hour job.
Right. So that's something just to keep in mind for all of you that are out there that are building your business. Now, I would say, she was talking about editing your podcast. Well, I would say go out there and edit your first 1, 2, or 3 episodes. Learn what it takes that goes into it. Then you can intelligently speak to somebody else about, okay, this is what I want you to do. Like when I first hired my first Fiverr guy, one of the things I do in my trainings on podcasting is when you're actually in the editing phase of it, there's essentially just 4 things that you're doing. Are you going to delete it? Are you going to silence it? Are you going to replace it with a half second of silence? Or are you going to just soften it or reduce the noise? Well, when I hired my first guy to edit my podcast, the show that he edited, the woman ended up speaking too fast, because he did not understand the whole thing of replacing that half second. And I know Dr. Jacqueline, and we've done this before, where, if one person's saying a sentence and then they're saying another sentence because there's a breath in between, let's say for an example, and that's a 1 second breath. If you take out that 1 second, that the time between those sentences is just too short. It just doesn't sound natural. You would not have even thought about that unless you were editing your own show.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point that you mentioned. It's like, it is good to do these certain tasks up front, even if they're not your favorite thing, because it also, then you know who to hire, and then you know what it takes to do that type of job, right. And how long it takes to do that type of job, what it really should look like. And there's a lot of things that I do that's not my favorite thing, and but now I really understand the flow of it more. So,
and you appreciate the work.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. You appreciate more what they're doing too, and what employee does not want to be appreciated.
Okay. Well, are there any other life's little lessons that you would like to share with the audience before we go? Because we're about to wrap up here.
Well, I would just say, just follow your dreams, and you're going to be happier. It's going to spiral off to everybody else. And don't let anything set you back. Every step back, there's a comeback, and it's just going to it's like a rubber band. It pulls you back and then launch. So, as you feel like you're set back, look at that like God's trying to teach you a lesson. God's trying to teach you a lesson, and you learn that lesson, and then you're going to be 10 more steps ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because you learn from your mistakes, you learn from your challenges, you learn from even your wins.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody wanted to learn more about how to get a hold of you, if they want to do some of this testing stuff, let's say they either live in San Francisco, or they're in Las Vegas, or they're anywhere in the world, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Do you have a website or something like that?
Yeah, just go to thewellnesstrinity.com. That's TheWellnesstrinity.com. And then my phone number, my email, my locations, all of that stuff is going to be on there.
Okay, so that's going to be going to www.thewellnesstrinity.com, and all of our contact information is there. That way you can make an appointment for an initial consultation, or at least find out more about what is it that you do, the processes that you go through, so that they can make an intelligent decision on going this way. Because I know for myself, I don't know that much about naturopathic medicine, so I have to be educated in order to be able to learn more about that. But I'm glad I took the test with you. I'm still reviewing the results that you gave, and I did get some of the supplements, and I am using them on a daily basis. And yeah, this is phenomenal. I appreciate it. Thank you. And the thing is, by knowing where I need to work is where I can focus on, so I can be more productive. That's the most important.
Yes. Yeah. It's not, takes out the guessing. That's what it is. Targeted supplementation / detoxing.
Well, I mean, for you to have any kind of a goal, if you're going to achieve any kind of a goal, the very first thing that you need to know is, where are you? Mm-hmm. If you have a weight loss goal, well, how much do you weigh? If you have a financial goal, how much is in your bank account? I mean, you have to know your starting point in order to get to your ending point, because the starting point is how the whole process starts. Mm-hmm. So to improve your health, coming in and taking those 3 tests that you had already mentioned is a great way, because now you know, like, okay, this is where I need to work on. I thought it was in my liver, but it's in my kidneys. Okay,
right.
So, because if you're just guessing, then often you're just going to be spinning your wheels.
Mm-hmm. Or spending lots of money on clients come in with bags full of stuff and they don't even know why they're taking it.
Yes. And the thing is, if they're not taking like homeopathic or naturopathic stuff, because I know from my example, my father, he just got off some of his heart medicine and stuff that he was going in, and he feels better now. Medicine was causing
that's stuff we dissect as well too.
What's that?
That's stuff we dissect as well too, is what can be, a source of toxin that's coming in that you don't even realize.
Well, with any of the pharmaceuticals, I mean, watch any commercial. It says, take this, may cause liver damage, may cause death, may cause like
That's another podcast for another day.
Yes, that's another podcast. That'd be one of your podcasts. So, well, anyway, so if y'all want to get a hold of her, just go to thewellnesstrinity.com. This is Dr. Jacqueline Pascual. And for those of you that are also looking for doing some coaching, business coaching, you just reach out to me at kevinadunlap.com, and I'll be happy to do a consultation with you as well. Any last words, Jacqueline, before we say goodbye?
I think that sums it up.
Okay. Well, everybody, I hope you have a very wonderful day. And Dr. Jacqueline, thank you for being on our show today.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day too.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit kevinadunlap.com, facebook.com/kevinadunlap.author, and on Twitter @KevinADunlap. We'll catch you on the next episode of Life's Little Lessons.